Hey there YouTube world, Matt Schwartz, the Welding Geek. And on this section, I'm going to be attaching the faceplate to the rear part and getting the T-visor cut out with some other features in this part of the video. First thing we're going to start off with here is the rolling machine. This has a bunch of different dies on it. We're going to use the radius dies and roll a radius both on the front faceplate and then on the back section. And I'm just rolling these edges over so they'll meet together nice and tight. I found that if you put just a slight little radius on this edge and a slight radius on the other one, you can get them to mate up really well. So that's what I'm doing here. Now that I have my radiuses rolled on my parts, I've got them clamped together here. There's a set of holes on each side of the faceplate, 1/8 inch holes. I'm going to use these to mount it to the back section. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch drill bit and a tool called a cleco and a pair of special pliers called cleco pliers. And it's just a spring-loaded retention tool. Really handy to have so you don't have to use bolts and screws. You can see here as I put it into the pair of cleco pliers, you squeeze it and the little end pokes through, and that allows it to go through the little 1/8 inch hole, and as you release it, it expands a little bit so it holds everything together with a quick disconnect type of fastener. I now have my faceplate mounted to my back section here. The next thing I have to do is I'm going to draw some lines here on the back edge, and I'm going to take it over to my other rolling tool and roll a step in this. It just makes it a cleaner transition with a little step in there. So that's what I'm doing here with my pencil. So this is our electric rolling machine. I have got my step dies in it. I believe this is made by Mittler Brothers. And I just hit the pedal and it rolls. So I'm going to roll a little step on the lines that I put in my dome section. And this is just going to be for that smooth transition to the faceplate. Alright, I hope you can see here how it makes this edge just sit like it's supposed to be there instead of just being an overlapping joint. Just makes it look a little cleaner and a little nicer. The next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this is an angle head grinder with a cutoff wheel attachment in it. And I'm going to cut a bunch of slots in the faceplate because what I want to do is put a bead of weld all the way around where the T-visor is, so I can make it look like it's 3/16 or 1/4 inch thick there instead of this 1/16 of an inch that it is right now. So you can see the slots, and I'm just going to trace these out with the pencil on the inside and then go on the inside and run a weld bead all the way around that to make the T-visor section look a lot thicker. and I've got my weld bead down. Hopefully this will make a lot more sense here in a minute when I get everything welded together and cut out. It just makes that visor section look more believable when it's thicker. So the next thing I'm going to do now is actually get it cut out. This will take a little bit of time because now instead of cutting just through a 1/16 of an inch, I'm cutting through probably around a 1/4 inch or 3/16 of an inch. Be careful when using a cutoff wheel like this. There's no guard, so it takes a lot of practice not to cut into your hands or everything else. So if you're going to use something like this, just be very careful. T-visor is cut out, and you can see how thick it is now. Just makes it look a lot more believable. Now it's time to dress it out and make it look clean and nice. That's a lot better. And you can see what a big difference that makes, putting that weld bead around there. Now I'm going to go ahead and use what's called a hammer rivet. You can see it's a countersunk hammer rivet. And I have a drill, or a countersunk drill bit here that's going to put a little countersink so that hammer rivet's nice and flush. This is the tool that I'm used to squeeze the hammer rivet down. Now there's some hand tools that you can squeeze them down. These are going to be too deep for that, so this is a hammer, or a pneumatic hammer, and the dolly that I'm used to squish the rivet down. You can see here how nice and flat and flush that is. So now I'm going to go ahead and use this tool and buck it down, as we call it, and it'll be nice and flat, and I'll put the other series of rivets in, and the faceplate will be attached to the back section. Now that I have my faceplate riveted on, I'm going to go ahead and weld the back side. I'll use the rivets in these holes just to get my faceplate attached the way that I want it, so I can move it around just to make sure that it's sitting just right. And then I go in on the back side and get it all welded into place to make it 100% permanent. Next thing I'm going to do here is take a file and straighten out my T-visor faceplate section just to make them look a little more square. They were a little wobbly because of the weld, so I'm just using this file to try to straighten them out to make them look a little nicer. Next thing I'm going to do here is weld a little piece of aluminum in between my little T section of the faceplate, and it's there to hold in my visor and to hold the spacing on this bottom section here. It's going to hold this together so it's not all wobbly. So it's serving two purposes: to make the front more stable and to hold my T-visor into place. And that's what this little piece of plastic I have is, just a scrap part of that I'm using for the spacing of the depth of this piece of aluminum I'm going to weld in. Alright, and hopefully this makes more sense now that I can show it. I've got that little keeper part in there, and the visor will slide in between there, and it will hold it nice and tight up against the front, and also keep my helmet from deforming. The next thing I'm going to do here is I got some poster board. I'm going to trace out basically a template to make a bottom section to thicken up the bottom section of the helmet. Instead of running a weld bead across it like I did on the T-visor, I'm just going to shear out a strip of aluminum and weld it around all the way around the base, just to make it look like it's thicker material than what it is. So I'm going to use the shear here and the bandsaw and get this all cut out. This is all stuff you guys have seen me do a billion times on these videos. So I've got it here, I've got it sheared out and hit it on the bandsaw. It's a piece of 090 material, and then I'm going to hit it here on the slip roll. And then I'm just going to weld. First I'm going to tack it into place, and then I'll weld all the way around the base. And alright, that's what that looks like. It just makes it look like it's a lot thicker of material, making the helmet look more stout than what the actual material it's made out of. Alright, and that was the attaching the faceplate to the rear section video, I guess I'll call it. Getting that T-visor cut out. You can see these when I was filing them down, how nice and straight they've come out. How that visor holder thing, I just have the visor in here and I have it taped in the corners, and that's it. And you can see how I did the head pads in here. Like I said, there's a whole other video on that portion, a standalone video, so if you want to look for that, just head over to my channel. But yeah, you can see also the rear section where I put that step in here, how nice a clean seam that makes. So yeah, that's the helmet right there. You've already seen it a bunch already with the other two videos, but I hope you guys enjoyed that part. I hope you'll continue on the next two and keep on watching the helmet build. Like I've said in all the other videos, you can jump onto my Patreon where the templates are. If you want to support me, subscribing, liking, doing all that stuff. You already heard this twice before now, so I hope you guys keep on watching. My name is Matt Schwartz, and I am the Welding Geek.